European Affairs. She's with me now from New York. Minister, grateful to have you with us this evening. My apologies that I'm not in New York to be with you in person. If we look at the deteriorating situation, particularly in France, it is difficult to see a way out for the president short of ditching or amending his pension proposals, which he's not prepared to do. France is in a dreadful state tonight.
Well, listen, the president's been very clear. We need this pension reform. We know it's not popular, it's tough, but we need it. In 2017, when he was elected, there were 10 million pensioners. In 2030, there will be 20 million pensioners. Now, there has been a democratic process. We've had hundreds of hours of debate at the Parliament. The bill has been passed, and I think we need to move on. As you know, the president is young, he's very dynamic, he's got this vision, making France modern, active, creating lots of quality jobs, and that's the next step.
One of the problems in Europe, of course, is that so many of the issues are national government related, whether it's cost of living in Germany or pensions in France, and yet so much of the power now has been ceded to the EU in its various constituents, the EC, the Parliament, the Council, which really can't do much about these other issues. And I'm wondering whether there is now a dislocation between where the power is and where the responsibility is.
So I wouldn't say it like that, actually. The separation of power between the EU and national countries is very clear. When it is about social policy, the power of the EU are fairly limited. When it is about social policy, it's mostly individual countries. When we're talking industrial plans, climate change, big macro issue, then the power is within the EU on the impulse of each of our leaders.
So in this situation, as, for example, when interest rates went up and there was the possibility of recession, it was the Commission that came forward with this very large budgetary attempt to keep things moving. It was the Commission that moved first and really had the commonality of funds. But I wonder where the responsibility of individual countries lies. And the reason I ask this is because if we take, for example, the IRA, the Inflation Reduction Act of the United States, which now Europe is grasping to put together something similar because it sees the US with a central theme has moved forward faster.
Well, actually, you're very right. Both are very good examples. It's on the impulse of national leaders, and actually the French President Emmanuel Macron has been very forceful about it, that we got the Commission to actually design a common loan, the Next Generation EU, to actually support the recovery of all countries across the EU. The implementation of these recovery plans was done at the national level in a coordinated manner with the EU. For the response to the Inflation Reduction Act, let me say first that we're actually quite happy to see the US finally addressing climate change. And then again, there was a huge impulse from the French leader, from other leaders, to put in place the response, and the response has been agreed last Friday at the European Council. We have a Net Zero Industry Act. It's the same as the Inflation Reduction Act, 400 billion, tax credit, streamlined permitting procedures, streamlined bureaucracy, and business is welcome in Europe.
Right, but can you execute and implement that as effectively as it would seem the US is being able to implement and execute the IRA?
Yes, absolutely. Let me give you an example. France will be designing its energy transition plan based on nuclear and a ramp-up of renewable energy. And we have already started. A law has been voted, a permitting law has been voted to go faster. Germany will be ramping up its climate transition, based on hydrogen. And they have started the plans. They've also passed a law to accelerate permitting. So you can see that it's as efficient as what the US is doing.
Good to see you, Minister. Next time we'll do it in Paris. We'll speak in Paris, and it'll be face-to-face, and I'm looking forward to it already. Thank you very much.
So do I. Bye.